Hello and welcome to the About Ewe YouTube channel. My name is Madeleine and I am your host for today. This is a video discussion. I don't really want to say podcast anymore because it's not a podcast is audio, but anyhow, this is just like a quick little video of me talking to myself but talking to you about all things knitting, crafting, and me trying to live my craftiest life possible. Today is Sunday the 23rd of August 2020 and I'm coming to you from my home in Canberra in the Australian Capital Territory, Australia. And it's been a while since you have heard from me. I haven't really been very active on Instagram, but you can find me online at mad.about.ewe, and I'm also on Ravelry as Madbell. I know some people are having issues with the new Ravelry setup at the moment, so absolutely understand if you don't want to use that platform anymore, but I am on there and I'm more than happy for you to add me as a friend if you want to keep a track of the things that I am making. So I know I've said it's been a while, and that doesn't mean that there's a lot of knitting content today because I haven't really been knitting a whole heap or crafting in general, to be honest. But we'll probably talk about that at the end of the show when I just a little bit of an update on what I've been up to. So I don't have any finished objects today, but I will go through a couple of works in progress, a knitting fail, which we might actually start with, and yeah, we'll see where this leads us to. So, knitting fail. I had some really dear friends to me have a baby recently, and I crocheted their first child a hippo by Lolo Did It, like Lauren of the Lolo Did It yarn, and I think she used to have a podcast anyway. I knit them a hippo. I was much more prepared, and then this baby came early and I even knew I still had to knit something, but I didn't get around to it. Anyhow, I decided that I would get a wriggle on last weekend and knit it's called the bunny pattern. It's on Etsy, not on Ravelry, so I won't link it below because I don't actually know what the shop is, but anyhow, it knit up pretty quickly over 2 days, and then I spent the other night trying to stuff it and put it together, and I have lots of little pieces to show you, but I can't gift this present. So this is the body and the head, and like that's the face. This is the back seam, so I've stuffed it a little weird. Sorry, that's like the face, but yeah, it's on a bit of an angle, and then I stuffed the arms and tried to sew them on, but I've overstuffed them and I've knit it in and they just look a bit funny. So I've given up. And that baby's like 6 weeks old now and still no gift. So I could just not worry about it at all, but I did knit something for her older sister, so I'd really like to get this present for baby Ellen, but yeah, this was an ear. This is probably the thing I'm most happy with about it, and it's the little ear for the bunny. So yeah, sorry grandma, I just touched my face, and my grandma's told me that I touch my face far too often and I've been really conscious of it, but my nose is really itchy right now. Anyhow, so that's my knitting fail. So the only other active work in progress that I have, besides a couple of pairs of socks and the weekender, which is I'm probably going to get frogged, and I think maybe that's it, is my Fanta Stitch shawl. So I've talking. I'm really out of practice. This is fantastic Queen's English, isn't it? I have spoken about my Fanta Stitch shawl before, and it's this pattern here, which is a West knit pattern. It's a semicircular shawl packed with texture stripes and slip stitches. It's Annemone, Cashmerino, and Kumo for a luxurious blend of merino, cashmere, and alpaca fiber. It's a really well written pattern, and gives you a little bit of an idea of the different color palettes, and that is, I think, the large the large version of the finished shawl. So I've decided I'm going to make the small version, which I think means that I will omit this kind of like bricky honeycomby section here, and maybe I think there's a round of or a couple of rows of brioche ahead of that. I think they go just because this thing is going to be enormous as it is, and I don't really know if I'm going to wear it. So the yarn is in my Mrs. Brown's bag, just the colours that I'm using at the moment, and I guess I should actually show you the shawl. So this is it here. It's got nearly 300 stitches, or actually I think at this point it just has 300 stitches. So it starts down here with this yellow brick road, then the light blue, this colour here is called Madeleine, rust, coral, this dark blue is called Isle of Arran. Oh, the light blue is called Vespa, sorry. This one is Anemone, and I think that's all of them at this point. So yeah, it's been really fun so far. So this section here is like a cable and some slip stitches, and then that was like building the triangle, so that was really cool. It's just like an increasey row, just garter. This was fun as well with the slip stitches, and then now I'm building this this section here, which is like triangles. So I did notice I misread the pattern. It's actually supposed to be stockinette in between, and I've got garter stitch in here, but I don't think it matters too much. But I've got quite a few repeats to go. I probably could have pulled back when I figured that out, but it was just too much effort, and to be honest, I really couldn't be bothered. So I just kept knitting, and I figure it'll look slightly different than it's supposed to, but it's going to be totally fine. It's quite an enjoyable knit. I was reading the chart for this section that I'm doing now, and then I realized that I had made the mistake reading the chart, so I've gone back to the written text, but this is the only charted section in the pattern, and I don't mind chart reading while I knit nowadays. I used to really hate it, but it's totally fine usually for me to do. So yeah, this shawl, it takes up quite a bit of time, and to be honest, like I said, I haven't really been knitting. So I cast this on at the end of July, so maybe 3 weeks ago, and I knit up to about this section here when I went to visit my family up in Queensland before the borders closed again. And I've just put a couple of rows on it last weekend, and then yesterday and Friday night I did a little bit of knitting as well. So it's a slow burn project, but with me that's kind of everything right now. So that is that for my knitting works in progress that are active whips. And then I just have one crochet project, which I'm fairly sure I've shown you before, but like I said, it's been a while and I don't really remember. Is my granny stripe, which has had no love. I took it to Queensland, didn't crochet on it at all. So it's really cute. I quite like it, but it was meant to be a slow burn long-term project, and it's going to be, I actually recorded this episode last week, and anyway, I didn't like it, didn't get around to editing it. So here we are again, and I still haven't measured how long this is, but I think I'm 165 centimeters tall, and it is just under my wingspan, so it's probably about 150 centimeters, which is not bad. I think it'll fit on a double bed nicely. And I'm just following the Attic 24 pattern for Granny Stripe blanket, and it is being made from this magic cake that I made a couple of months ago with my like Yarny Club minis that I got from Julie of Little Woollie Makes. And I've just noticed I've started pulling out stitches. Okay, that's cool. So that's absolutely it for works in progress. At the moment I do not have anything else going. Yeah. So I do have some acquisitions since we last spoke. I'm trying not to buy yarn because I have this wonderful yarn stash. but I could not resist. The Bendigo Woolen Mill had a virtual, sorry, not at all. The big wool show in Bendigo was on in July, and I could not resist buying some yarn from one of the local vendors there. This is from Melbourne City Dye Works. I bought this as a 3 skein pack, and I also bought a sock tube from them. So this is the sock tube. I think it cost me $40. So it's hand dyed yarn that's been cranked into this tube, and like I've spoken about several times, I really want to buy myself an Gearhart circular sock machine so I can do this, and I wouldn't mind selling them. And also it makes it really easy to knit socks because you just have to cut in the heel, toes and cuffs, and the sock machine can also make heels, toes and cuffs. So, but it's a big investment, and I've got money put aside, but the US exchange rate's so terrible I don't want to buy it right now. But so I've got this, which is great, but I've put it I know my leg's bigger than my arm, but I feel like it's going to be too big. The gauge isn't going to be right for myself. So I don't really know what I'm going to do with this yet, but it was good to have it, and I can always treat it like a sock blank and hand a pair of socks, unravel it and do that, or I could actually just knit the pair of socks and see how I go. So see what happens with that one. But the yarn's a beautiful color. I really like it. It's like a terracotta-y sort of raspberry, not raspberry at all really, probably, to be honest. I don't know how to explain it, but I like it. And then I also bought a 3-pack for a shawl. So this is 4-ply, 80% merino, 20% nylon, and I got 3 skeins of this too. So I'm not super fussed on this brown color, but I liked the other 2, and I figured it's always nice to have a 3 skein kind of set that goes together. So like I said, Melbourne City Dye Works, and I'll link their Etsy shop below. Actually, they might have a website. It might not have been Etsy. I'm not entirely sure. And they have an Instagram, which is just Melbourne City Dye Works 01. So awesome to be able to help out, well, not help out, I guess, but support local, as in Australia. And then Melburnians are doing it pretty tough with COVID at the moment, so really happy that I managed to do that. Next up, I put an order into Morris & Sons in Sydney. They have stores in Victoria, Sydney. They have also the Granny Square outlet, which is in Sydney, Katoomba and Richmond, I think. And I don't know if that's Richmond, Victoria or Richmond, New South Wales, but anyway, you can look up their website. So for babies, or my friends that have babies, I love to make an Edwards menagerie animal, and I feel like my Edwards book is actually in my other bookcase in the lounge room. So my really dear friends are having their 2nd baby next month, fingers crossed, and I haven't started making the gift yet because the yarn just arrived. So the thing I don't love about Morris & Sons is that I think their postage is exorbitant. And I say that because it's based on cost, not based on weight. So postage in Australia, I think under 3 kilos, maybe 1 kilo standard shipping is $9.20. And then the next biggest size bag is $12 something. I had an order for $100 worth of yarn, and it was going to cost me $20 or $25 in postage, and I basically ideologically opposed to paying that much for postage, so I didn't order it. And then I was going to get a friend who was going up to Sydney for a medical appointment to pop into the store and pick up my order for me, and then we realized that they're actually not open on Mondays, so we couldn't do that. So I did end up having to pay postage, so I tailored my order down to just what I think I needed, and I bought yarn to make 2 Edwards animals. So this is this is Morris & Sons Estate, and I got the 10-ply worsted. So I made, and you can see it on my Ravelry page, Bridget the Elephant last year for one of my girlfriends from high school. She had a baby, and that one was, I think I used bulky or 14-ply, and it was enormous. The one I made for new baby's older brother, Ted, I think was 10-ply, so this size, and I made Poida, the polar bear from the Edwards Menagerie original book. And this time I think I'm gonna make the hippo or the koala. So that's why I have this single skein of cream, because it's got some or maybe it was the rhino. Anyway, I can't remember. It's bookmarked, so I really need to get onto that because these babies have a habit of coming early. Or I mean, baby number 1 came 10 weeks early, so we're still doing really well. But yeah, this family's really special to me, and I cannot wait to actually pull my finger out and make a new little toy for the new baby M. I think that's it, like knitting wise, which is good. It's 15 minutes. I've talked a lot. So I guess what have I been doing? Not a lot of knitting, like I said. So it's been pretty tough the last kind of 18 months in my personal life, or my real life. You can see my December video, I think, and you can hear my sob story if you are interested. If not, yeah, I had a breakdown in a relationship, and now I can look back and say it was probably the best thing that could have happened, but it's been really tough, and I've been seeing a psychologist and doing a lot of therapy, which has been excellent. So whilst that process has been happening, plus there's COVID, and I wasn't able to get home to see my family, so I had my Easter flight, my Easter trip was cancelled because I wasn't allowed to travel, and then the borders were closed to anyone not from Queensland, which is where my family live, for a really long time, and that was really demoralising too. But then I did manage to get home for 2 weeks, so I had a week of leave, and I walked to the national park every day, went to the beach, went for a swim. It was glorious. And then I had a week of remote working from my folks' house, so that was really nice too. It was pretty hard to come back to Canberra, where I think the day I arrived it was supposed to snow. It didn't, but it did snow yesterday at lunchtime. So my family are sending me photos of it being like 5 p.m. and 24 degrees. Excuse me. And I go on the Bureau of Meteorology, and it's like 5 degrees, feels like -2. Chance of snow, chance of rain. I think, why the hell do I live here? Because it's so cold. So anyhow, I haven't been like in the best place, I guess, for crafting. So I haven't really had any content, and I didn't really want to be a Debbie Downer, and life just gets busy and it's really tough sometimes. So anyway, I'm feeling much better now. I've had a few little breakthroughs, and looking at some pretty big changes coming up in the next couple of months or so, but I'm fairly sure they'll come to fruition, but I don't want to jinx it or say anything just in case it doesn't. But it's pretty exciting, I think, slightly terrifying, but all positive. I can't find any negatives yet, so there's that. Last time I did a proper episode, I think a few people said they'd like to hear me talk about some books that I've been reading, so I've recorded like a 15-minute video about my favorite author and all of the books that I've read that she's written, and I was going to tack it on to the end of a podcast or at the end of a video, but I feel like not this one because it's already been 18 minutes, and I'd like to get it up sooner rather than later, but I don't really want to spend all my time editing because I have some work to do outside of work, so we might leave it pretty soon after there. I just have one more thing that I'm fairly passionate about, and I'd like to appeal to you. If you are in Australia right now, the Australian Red Cross Lifeblood, they're not the blood bank because we don't pay. It's a free, like, you donate blood with no expectation of getting anything, and if you need to receive blood you don't have to pay. So it's not a blood bank, it's the Lifeblood. That's what they're called. I didn't explain that very well, but you can see it on their website. Anyhow, particularly Queensland and New South Wales at the moment are in desperate need for blood and blood products. I live in the ACT, and I've been donating fortnightly since I got back from the overseas early this year, except for a month where I was not, like, my iron stores are pretty low. So I took off 6 weeks, I think, to a month or 6 weeks to recuperate, and I'm back on a fortnightly cycle. So anyway, that's just my way that I like to give back to the community, and I donate plasma every 2 weeks. So if you are fit, healthy, haven't had a tattoo or a piercing in the last 4 months, haven't been sick in the last 7 days or whatever, really encourage you to go to either download the Australian Lifeblood app and create an account, or go to their website, or you can call on a phone number that I don't know off the top of my head, but they're especially because of it being winter and COVID, they're in desperate need for blood products. So yeah, if you're free to do that, I implore you to please make an appointment. Plasma takes like maybe like an hour. They usually book in like an hour and a half in your invite. The first time takes a little bit longer, and like I went this morning, so I can take my bandage off really soon. But if you could do that, that would be fantastic. Yeah, most places a milkshake if you want one. My center doesn't do milkshakes. They do like chocolate milk and whatever. There's always food afterwards, and it's a good deed, and you're helping out your fellow Aussies. If you're an O negative blood type, you are a blood unicorn, because your blood can be used for any blood type in people who do need it, and you can see the whole range of uses for blood and plasma. There's like upwards of 18 uses for plasma. So yeah, you can save up to 3 lives with every donation, and if you are able to, that would be really great. Little thing, I know, like, I feel pretty, I want to say helpless right now, because I don't personally feel that way, but it's pretty scary, and like the state of Victoria is pretty well locked down and stuck in their bubbles, so I'm able to get out. I still go to work every second week in the office, and it's just something that I personally feel I can do, so if you can too, that would be awesome. And I'll get off my soapbox now. Thank you so much for tuning in. I want to say I'm sorry for the wait. I'm not, because I took the time I really needed to process my recovery, and that, I say recovery, and that's what my psychologist calls it, from the breakdown of my relationship and things that happen in that. So like, it's all good. I'm all good. And yeah, really, thanks for tuning back, and I'm hoping to, I don't want to be really optimistic and say every 2 weeks again, because that probably isn't going to happen, but if I can record like every month or so, or if I've got something new, I'll definitely pop in. Thank you so much for coming to my channel, and I will see you soon. Bye.